Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bahrain Now, your source of happenings and initiatives from around the Kingdom of Bahrain. I'm your host, Khalid Idris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So don't go away, we'll be right back. The Bahrain Institute for Pearls and Gemstones, DANAT, has recently conducted an intensive 5-day training course on pearls and gemstones at Youth City. With the aim of educating young participants about Bahrain's rich and ancient pearl industry, the training course offered a comprehensive approach to pearl studies and various gemological sciences, enabling participants to gain a profound understanding of the field and to become acquainted with the essential tools and devices. And to talk more about that, we are pleased to be joined here at the studio by the education consultant at DANAT, Miss Meg Hutchinson. Welcome, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm really excited to start talking about this. So could you tell us a little bit about DANAT's training programs in general, as well as this specific course?
Sure. So our training programs in general cater for 3 sectors of the population. The first being children. Obviously, Bahrain's youth is at the center of all that we do. We also cater for enthusiasts, people who just have a general interest in either pearls or gemstones, and finally for experts or people within the industry themselves. We offer a range of 5-day programs and also 1-day courses as well.
It's brilliant to see the flexibility in not only how you offer the programs, but as well who it's accessible to. Now, on that note, what were some of the main topics that were highlighted during this training course?
So, the main topics within this course were both gemstones and pearls. That we cover a wide variety of gemstones. However, I think what really makes the Gem A course, the Gem A program is actually the Gemological Association of Great Britain. And we are the only licensed or accredited teaching centre in the MENA region. So this course is really a wonderful opportunity for anyone wanting to get into the field. And what highlights this course, I think, from other courses is that it is taught to give buyers and people in the industry an identification of gemstones in their rough form. There are plenty of other programs available, but none actually do this. This allows small business owners, people in the industry to be able to really identify gemstones in their rough form, thus making buying and that kind of thing a lot easier for them.
I think it's brilliant that you offer something like that. I think a lot of us are very familiar with what a lot of gemstones look like when they're refined or polished. So giving them that kind of expert's eye really, like you said, it gives it that kind of edge of expertise to it.
Absolutely.
Now, I imagine that that's kind of part of the outcomes of, what you would expect to have as the outcomes for such a program. So on that note, when you're offering such a program, what is the importance of continuing to offer these courses, and what are the other outcomes that you expect to see?
So I think, we obviously want to promote Bahrain as a center for pearls within the world. We would love to have our youth working within the labs. We have a wonderful laboratory which is obviously very highly sought after within the local and international market. We would like our Bahrainis especially to become pearl experts, gem experts, gemologists. So we run a lot of programs that hopefully enable that in the future.
Brilliantly said, and I think it's really incredible that you've taken something that is such a strong heritage of Bahrain, for example, like pearling, and given people the access to really get involved with it. And while you're talking about the lab and the equipment and all of that, I'm sure that everyone had a very hands-on, very practical experience. So what was the feedback you got?
Our feedback has been fantastic, honestly. The course offers a range of both practical and theoretical knowledge. It is a very good balance of both. So we, at our teaching facility, which is a state-of-the-art facility, students are really given access to tools and instruments that they wouldn't ordinarily have access to. So microscopes, different kind of loops, a lot of identification material that really enables the student, whilst they're having the theoretical learning experience, they're also having a very hands-on and practical experience too.
Brilliant. And again, I really enjoyed the blended approach. I think you know this better than I do. That is a great way to really cement all of that theory as well. and really lead to like a practical outcome, and one that, you know, anyone participating is likely to commit to memory. And, you know, I'm just going to go back to when we were talking about, for example, like the heritage and really touching into that. I understand as well that with this course, I mean, you also spread awareness about the industry itself. Could you tell us a little bit how this training course offers that information?
Sure. So I think there's multifaceted layers of education within this course. Not only are you being taught about the industry by our incredible instructor, Ziad Khalid, but also you're learning peer-to-peer education. You know, peer-to-peer, we have different enthusiasts within the industry. They might be jewelers themselves, but we also have a range of people that are experts or already scientists. So there's a lot of chemistry, and physics scientists that join the program as well. So throughout the program, you're learning peer-to-peer in such different markets and industries, different levels of education about the industry itself. I think something else that DANAT really offers in terms of the industry is not only do we have lab services, but we also are a center for education and research. So it's a wonderful way for students to get a real insight into all three pillars of the industry itself.
And I actually want to touch on something you said. You mentioned something about, like, for example, local scientists and experts. I'm sure with something this comprehensive and this holistic, I mean, you've managed to create a course that is very comprehensive. And I'm sure that with that, you know, you've had help and a lot of cooperation from local institutions. Could you tell us how you value that cooperation?
Sure. So I think, you know, this is a holistic approach really for the whole of Bahrain. We all want to see Bahrain's pearling industry really protected, revitalized, and that's a real main objective of DANAT. We work very closely with the Supreme Council of the Environment, and obviously there's a lot of research and protection of the pearl beds within Bahrain. We also work with other entities such as educational institutes, the British Council, for example, and recently the Ministry of Youth Affairs working with Youth City, which was a fantastic opportunity to really highlight programs for young Bahrainis, encouraging them in a very short 5-day program, a masterclass, which touched on everything they really need to encourage them to get into this industry. And what was wonderful when they walked away was to see the invigorated passion about Bahrain's cultural identity as a pearling center.
I think that's very excellently said. And speaking of passion, I mean, it's very evident that DANAT has a lot of passion in forwarding participants like education in this field, and it is one that, you know, it goes beyond aesthetics, it goes into heritage, it goes into, like you said, even there's an environmental factor as well. So how does DANAT hope to advance their students' basically understanding and their mastery of this field going forward?
So I think, you know, education is just the beginning. I think that we are very blessed that with our lab services, we are not only giving Bahrain's customers and consumers a real confidence by authenticating different pearls and gemstones. Authenticity is a very, very important part, but so is education. So the fact that we work hand in hand, we're giving youth, you know, the confidence to move forward in this industry, and hopefully, like I said, you know, have a passion to protect Bahrain's pearling beds, and hopefully come and work in such an incredible lab. Honestly, we're very, very grateful to have such an amazing laboratory in Bahrain.
Brilliantly said. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, DANAT is offering a lot of courses that are hoping to both advance and maintain the current gemological and pearling industry. Stay tuned and we'll be back with more. Apart from painting, drawing, and sculpting, an emerging method of creative minds to showcase their talents is shown on streets and is called street art. Bahrain is home to some of the most wonderful street art in the region, often to instill positive vibes which are much appreciated by the many people who witness them. The artists Limnesh, Augustine, and Jincy Babu from Kerala showcase their amazing interpretations of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, with life-size chalk murals painted on the street. offering those who walk or pass by an interesting and beneficial experience. And to talk more about that, we are pleased to be joined here at the studio by the artists themselves, Limnesh, Augustine, and Jincy, Babu. Welcome. How are you both doing today?
Great.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're very welcome. I really enjoy how you guys managed to take something like creativity and meld it with something like the SDGs, which just goes to show you that art really is everywhere. It's everywhere. Now, how did the passion for this artistic journey of street art start for you both?
Actually, from the childhood, I was doing painting, and it's the same for Jincy also. So we tried to do a painting, and also I was very much interested in mathematics and puzzles. So this 3D street art is basically a combination of all these. So after my engineering, once I relocated to Bahrain, then you know, we used to get the email forwards with a lot of 3D paintings and stuff like that, street art. So try to explore it more, and then we found out that there are a lot of difficulties in achieving it. So then, since it was a challenge and I was always interested in puzzles, was trying to solve these challenges one by one and developed our own methods. And then once we started traveling around, we got a lot of techniques from there as well. So that is how this technique got evolved. Yeah.
Actually, for me, it was like from my young age itself. I have been to many art schools, so like I've been introduced to different mediums like oil pastels, watercolor, oil colors, and so on. But street art has fascinated me in a different level. That's because when you talk about street art, the world is your canvas. It's not limited to one canvas, or like, you know, your ideas can be depicted anywhere. And it's not like you're sitting in a studio and you're just painting and the completed output is viewed by the people. Rather, when it's street painting, from the beginning till the end, you're always with the audience. So that kinds of give you a different type of freedom. Especially being from India, it was like a very different feel for me. So I really enjoyed street art in that manner. And specifically 3D, he's my teacher.
Brilliant. So, I mean, you both, like you were mentioning 3D art, and actually it's always interesting to me. I usually tend to notice people who do something like mathematics or anything similar tend to be very good artists. Not always, but there tends to be a link.
Yeah.
You've mentioned that as a source of inspiration. What else inspires you both?
Starting from, you know, the world itself around us is an inspiration. And then especially talking about Bahrain, Bahrain is a multicultural hub. So where we get to see and experience a lot of different cultures, their dressing styles, even the dress patterns itself, like the unique patterns from all around the world is here. So that is one thing which inspires us. Then the food, the cultures. So, and what we try to do is, like when we travel around the world, we try to explore more in terms of like going to their remote villages and stay there and explore their culture, maybe a little bit from here and there. And also, apart from visiting the art galleries, what we do is like we go to these artists' workshops. Workshops means like from especially the artists who passed away like long back, the masters, we call them masters, and their workshops are there which where we can explore the tools and techniques used by them. So this is something which we always keep in mind when we travel, and that inspires us a lot.
Yeah, and specifically when you're talking about 3D, many people think that 3D is a new age invention, or like it's something that we found out just now. It's not actually like that. 3D painting is there right from Renaissance time. For example, if you're looking at the Sistine Chapel, the magnificent wall painting, it's a 3D painting. It's an anamorphic painting. So for us, everything is an inspiration. The moment we travel or the moment we see, and people. Like the human connectiveness is a different thing altogether, because whenever we are traveling, we try to avoid the touristic destination and we try to go to the rural place, actually melt with their culture, get to know their stories, and then we hear a whole lot of stories, the stories of their resilience, stories of their struggles, of their hope, and all that becomes kind of a theme for our next paintings, you know. So we try to connect it that way.
Brilliant. I mean, I really feel like I'm getting a sense of the kind of themes that you really put into your artwork. And generally, what is kind of like the feedback that you get whenever someone talks to you about your art?
Normally when someone interacts with these paintings and what we consider is like the future audience, like the future generation is our audience. Like we try to focus our painting theme mainly for the kids, because they are the future, and a change can be brought about by them when they get the theme what we are trying to convey through these paintings, the messages through these paintings. So for instance, one of the painting is about the plastic usage, plastic waste and usage. So about the Megalodon shark. Every kid was amazed to see the Megalodon shark, but when we brought in a real plastic piece into that, and they were trying to remove that, so that itself, like the shark will attack you if you pollute the ocean. So these kind of messages in a simple way we are trying to convey to the public, and that is, and we get a satisfaction when, especially one of the painting in Germany which we did recently for related to the Gaza, and there a kid, Asha, she lost her home, and then she is trying to rebuild the home with Legos. So this particular theme inspired the audience. Actually, the audience got inspiration, and then the organizer themselves was started a new campaign. Then and there, they initiated a new campaign to collect the toys for the kids affected, the war affected people and the refugees. So this is something which inspires us, and of course gives us satisfaction.
And one thing is, like, people actually ask for the feedback, because if you talk about a normal painting, you're viewing from a distance, you'll just admire it, enjoy it, and then you walk away. But in this particular type of street art, you're actually going inside the painting, being part of the picture, standing at the interactive points and clicking a pic. So once, before they come out, what they do is they just ask us, what is this about? Why is it so colorful? What does that object mean? What did we really do in this? And that is one area where we can really tell them about our themes. Like, okay, this is the theme we are talking about, and that is something where we can gain the attention of kids actually, because once you add a lot of color, once you make them sit inside the painting, they will stand there, wait for us to tell the complete theme of the picture.
I mean, I think that's the brilliant thing about your art style, that it's something that is very practical, it's something that's very interactive, and it has real world effects. Like, for example, we were mentioning earlier, your artwork, it involves a lot of the SDGs, and I think even from how we're talking right now about the themes that you guys are incorporating, it shows a very practical approach to it, and you've managed to also take what is generally a very complex set of goals and values, and you're able to communicate them to the young. Like, for example, I really like the idea of the Megalodon, kind of attacking you in a safe and artistic environment. Now, is there a specific reason why the SDGs mean so much to you guys as artists?
Actually, these UN SDGs are something for the future. And that is something why we consider that is because this is not something which was, these goals were not just built up on one single day. It was discussed and finalized by 191 countries all over the world, and they jointly set this as the goals. So there is a value in it, and if you go to each and every SDG, it has some value to it. And the problem what we are facing right now is that these SDGs are not conveyed to the general public in the way it need to be. So it is definitely, it is there with the educators, with the high-end crowd, with the companies, etc. But to the general public, it is not conveyed, and that is where we come in, and we are trying to convey this to the general public in the manner which is easily understandable to them. For example, there are a lot of statistics being published related to the SDGs, but no one reads it. It's only read by the people who are in that particular sector. So the general public, to convey these kind of messages, it is easier to, because painting has no language. It has no language barrier. So it can be easily conveyed to people. And of course, it is for the future generation.
Brilliantly said. And what does the process look like for you guys before you're, like, how does it work? How do you actually take a concept and then communicate it into such innovative art?
That's actually like a long procedure. If you're talking about, like, you can divide it into different parts. Like, if you're just talking about the methods we use for the pictures, then the paint we use depends on the surface we are working, or where we have to work and when we have to work. So that is basically like when we start with a picture, first we have to plan as in what type of people we are going to interact with, what is the age group of the crowd, or like are there more females or males, or it's going to be families. So that is the basic idea on which we build our themes. So once the theme is planned here,
then what we do is like we do kind of a project management based approach, because here we have very limited time to do it. So we start with the planning process and the tools and techniques, the inventory calculation, etc. Especially if it's a very large scale painting, like if it's more than 500 square feet and all, then we have to do a lot of planning session. So this planning and thought process, we get into it, we discuss, we finalize it, and then we go into the actual implementation of it.
And that is where everything change. Whatever you have planned till that moment, you might like, once you're traveling, you feel like, okay, I have everything set, I'm just going to start with the picture. And that's when you go to the road and you realize the road has a curve. So the picture is not going to give the 3D impact you're expecting for. Or the light doesn't fall. There might be a tree which is having a huge shadow on that area. So you have to completely change your design plan. So everything changed on that spot also. You can't like pre-plan and expect everything to go really well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it rains also. So like
so
all the calculations.
these kind of environmental risk factors are a lot. So these risks make that challenge, and that challenge is something which we love to address on the spot, and that is where these different tools and techniques comes into picture.
Brilliant. I mean, again, I mean, this is something, for example, if you spoke to me about art, and usually you wouldn't think the weather would affect it, because again, we have that very stereotypical, either someone's sketching or they're painting, and they're usually in the comfort of their homes, but you're bringing something to life, and you kind of have to adapt with it at the same time, which I think is creativity in and of itself, problem solving wise. And I think it's just a testament to the fact that you guys know how to adapt your art style, which I think also thematically is quite fitting, considering that the SDGs are a huge theme. Now, I'm sure that you guys have inspired, as you yourselves have been inspired, I'm sure you inspire a lot of other artists. What advice would you like to give to artists, particularly those who might be inspired as well by the SDGs?
One point is like these kind of 3D artwork or street art is always challenging. So you should not stop your like once you come across a challenge, you should not stop there. You should continue, and that resilience should be there, because there are a lot of things to learn, and always communication is very important in street art, because you will be working on street, and along with you there will be a lot of other artists who will be working, and the exchange and there will be no language barrier. Like you may not know their language, but you can still communicate with them. You can share the food, and that is something which this street art always offers. And sometimes what happens, one artist may not be able to complete the artwork due to the weather. Maybe rain washed off the paint. So we will jump into that, and we will all work together to complete their artwork. So this is where that caring and the group work, the teamwork, everything comes in, and understanding comes in. And then you start, sometimes you will be traveling to their home. So it will be more of a connected rather than the studio artworks. This will be more connected, and then we share ideas, we share the techniques. Sometimes the masters comes in and they will share their techniques, and we will share our own techniques, and
like
then maybe
street art is not a place where you can be selfish. And another thing is you have to be persistent. Like it's not like, okay, I'm going to learn the complete techniques and everything in like 2 months and I'm done with it. It's not going to happen like that. Forever you're a student, because the sharing thing is very important here. Once you go there, you will understand you have to participate in festivals, you have to go to other communities, talk with them. This is like a very small community of 400 artists. So like each of them have to be your friend. They have to share with you the techniques. Everyone is developing new ideas. Like for example, just as we travel this time, we had to make our own grids, because grids are somewhere where we have to spend a lot of time, and we went to all the tailoring shops here and we were asking them. They couldn't even understand what we are trying to convey to them. Like grids, they're like, how are we supposed to make that? Then we just got a swaying machine and we started swaying at home. We didn't know anything about tailoring, but we have to adapt to it, because that's our requirement to get the grids done. So we kind of did it, and once it was completely set, we felt like, oh wow, now we learned something new. So this is somewhere where you have to adapt and learn always. You can't like say like, okay, 2 months is enough, 2 years is enough, or like, okay, now I've gone to 4 countries, so I'm like a master. You're never a master. You're always a student in this particular field.
I mean, it's really incredible to see how much passion you guys have for this, and not only passion, you're willing as well, I think, to. It's like you said, you're never really going to be a master, but I mean, you can at least master your own development, at the very least, I think, would be fair to say. And the fact that you're also doing something that is so community-based, and like you said, it doesn't come across as selfish, it comes across as trying to share an experience, essentially. And no matter where you go, you're leaving a little bit of yourself with it, as well as taking stuff from that experience. Now, just before we conclude, I'd just like to ask, what are your plans to further develop this amazing art style?
So one of the point where we see the art is lacking is like the support from the general community. Like in terms of sports, when we talk about, we get a lot of support from everywhere, like from the governments, but in arts, this is a little bit of lacking or lagging behind. If you consider Olympics, there are a lot of items, but never for art. So why this is happening is as per our studies, and we did some sessions during the COP28 event. So we had an artist meetup as well. So during that, what we discussed and concluded is that one of the main reasons is there is no proper evaluation technique for art, which exists. That is like any other art form. So one of the thing with the generation with this AI techniques, which is the AI, the way it evolves, we are currently working on some projects wherein we can use the AI to do a kind of an evaluation with a lot of inputs and this neural network based evaluation techniques. So this is something which we are developing. It's a collective development across the globe. So based on that, we are planning to proceed and try to generate something which can evaluate on a quantitative basis. So this, and then we have our own dream as well.
Actually, we have two dreams in that way. One is basically like, first of all, we want many more 3D painting artists from this region, Asia region in total, because whenever we go and participate, there are more than like 50-60 festivals happening every year. But if you take the participation of Asians in that particular place or Middle Eastern people, there is no one at all. There is hardly like 2 of us and maybe a Japanese artist. Those are the only representation from this part of the world. So from last 10 years, we have been trying to increase the number of artists in this particular region. We have been educating them, so that is a continuing, ongoing procedure. So teaching the technique of 3D painting is not very easy because, as he said, it needs a little bit of engineering background. So we have to teach them. We have to take that initiative of teaching more people, more kids. So that is one thing we have been going on doing. And another thing is we have this dream of setting up an art village where you would have a lot of roads and you can actually, like people are given a chance to just express themselves. There is no boundaries, no limitation, come with your paint, no matter which medium you use or what exactly you do, somewhere where you can just express yourself and live. That is one kind of a dream that we have for many years. So like kids who are just coming together, painting, enjoying, expressing themselves and learning from each other. That is a big dream that we have.
That is very brilliantly said. I want to thank you both for joining us. I mean, this was a very illuminating chat, and I genuinely, I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with next, because clearly you are onto great things and you are onto an even greater path. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Yep.
So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and we'll be right back with more here on Bahrain Now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at what's going on beyond the studio in the following report.
With an atmosphere of enthusiasm and happiness, students began their first school day of the new academic year early in the morning, gathering with their friends, colleagues, and teachers, bidding farewell to the summer vacation to begin a study journey of seriousness and activity. With the morning school assembly, students began their day with a mixture of feelings of loyalty and love of the homeland and keenness to follow the advice of the teaching staff and their families, to be a generation aware of the importance of education and the renaissance of the homeland. A new academic year in which the educational process is completed in Bahrain through the keenness of the Ministry of Education to provide the necessary services students to receive their new year with ease and success. The new school year has begun with a focus on safety for roughly 153,000 students across 209 public schools. This improvement in traffic safety and ease of movement around schools is the result of extensive preparation by the Ministry of Interior, mainly the General Directorate of Traffic and the Community Service Police, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. These efforts aim to create a secure environment for students, parents, and school staff as they navigate school zones and surrounding streets. The Community Service Police and various governorates have actively fulfilled their security and community responsibilities by deploying patrols around schools to ensure safety. Additionally, the Civil Defense conducted field visits to schools prior to the start of the school year to verify that they meet safety requirements and are prepared to welcome students. The commitment of students and educational authorities to public safety guidelines is crucial for the safe school year. However, parents also play a vital role by following preventive measures and procedures that prioritize student safety within schools. This collective effort aims to create a secure learning environment and ensure a successful and accident-free academic year.
The continuous efforts of the Ministry of Health to provide integrated healthcare to all members of society and promote community awareness are the result of the government's keen interest in this sector, as the Kingdom of Bahrain joins the Arab world in celebrating Arab Health Day under the theme promoting the One Health approach. Through joint efforts between various government agencies, private sector institutions, and civil society organizations, Bahrain is keen to increase its efforts to promote healthy lifestyles in society, to achieve sustainable development goals, and support Arab cooperation and solidarity in order to develop the health sector, considering health a top priority in societies through multiple Bahraini humanitarian initiatives, including improving healthcare for those affected by conflicts and disputes in the region, developing the pharmaceutical and vaccine industry in Arab countries, and ensuring the availability of medicine and treatment in cooperation and coordination between the Arab League, the World Health Organization, and Bahrain. The Kingdom of Bahrain has clearly contributed to enriching the best global practices, especially in the field of health emergency preparedness and response in various circumstances, in line with the sustainability of global health goals and the development of medical technology studies and research at the regional and global levels.
In the presence of His Excellency, Minister of Industry and Commerce, Abdullah bin Hadi Al Fakhro, Defacto store officially opened in the Kingdom of Bahrain. DANAT Holdings was thrilled to announce the grand opening of the highly anticipated Defacto store in Bahrain. Strategically located within the prestigious Seif Mall, this milestone expansion solidifies DANAT's commitment to the Gulf region and its style-savvy consumers.
Our brand just new in Bahrain. It's really famous in Bahrain, in the region, but we brought it to the customers here, and we are expanding, inshallah, to Saudi and the UAE.
The store showcased the brand's full range of trendy and affordable apparel for men, women, and children. It epitomized the company's signature modern and innovative store design. From meticulously curated collections to a seamless customer experience, every element was thoughtfully crafted to delight and inspire Bahrain's fashion-forward shoppers, offering them an unparalleled shopping experience.
Yes, people are already online, and we're doing our best. It's a great atmosphere, and with you guys, inshallah, it will be successful.
DANAT Holdings' unwavering commitment to quality and customer satisfaction made the Defacto store a must-visit destination for all style enthusiasts in the kingdom. This opening marked a significant milestone in DANAT's strategic expansion plan in the Gulf, along with future plans for expansion in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
The Bahrain Authority for Culture and Antiquities continues its workshops at the Art Center, which is hosting a series of arts educational workshops. Recently, the Art Center hosted a printmaking on fabric workshop, during which the participants learned the basic skills of printing on fabric, carving, and block printing on fabric, which can be used to create a textile item or turn into reusable fabric wraps or bags.
It's a workshop with the artist Ali Hussein, and we are doing the printing on fabric, and this is my first time to participate in this kind of workshop, and I hope that I can gain more information and ideas about the printing on fabric, especially that I do painting, but I do acrylic painting on canvas. So art is in my blood. I love it since I was young. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Hello, I'm Fatma. Today I'm here at the workshop today. I'm very excited to attend this workshop. We're doing textile printing. Basically, this is traditional and handmade printing. So basically, we're going to carve out shapes, and we're going to use specific type of ink so we can print on fabric, and we can use it to make cushions, bags, or anything we want to make.
The workshop presented by instructor Ali Mirza helped participants to understand the basic techniques of screen printing and transferring designs onto fabric through hand-cut stencils and mark making, and how to transfer their design ideas using stencils and various brushes and stamps to print their own little fabric collection. The session encouraged participants to select a shape and create their own masterpiece using paints while getting familiarized with different techniques. It is worth noting that the Art Center continues to host various workshops which are open for all to register through their website.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of another great episode of Bahrain Now. Thank you so much for joining us, and as always, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We'd love to hear from you. This was Khalid Hidris. Until next time, good night and God bless.